Hello everybody, Slim Kirby here, and welcome to a Slim Talks video. For those who don't know, Slim Talks videos are videos where I have impromptu discussions about things going on, maybe something that was announced recently, or in the case of today's video, I'm going to be discussing one of my adventures where I actually took a trip to Atlanta, Georgia for MomoCon 2016. This video is going to be focusing on my trip, mostly the convention aspect of my trip. I could go over the entire trip in full, but a lot of it doesn't necessarily have to do with gaming. Really only the convention and the stuff I did relation to gaming has anything to do with my channel, so I figured that that is the stuff I should probably focus on, if you get what I'm saying. So I'm just going to basically discuss what went on and just talk about some things that happened, things I got, stuff of that nature. And that will pretty much be this video. So, I initially left for Atlanta on Tuesday, May 24th. I stayed there until Tuesday the following week, the 31st. I got back last night around 8 p.m., so I basically spent the entire day driving. And I spent the entire first day driving, too. So, May 24th was basically my drive to Atlanta, and then May 31st was my drive from Atlanta back home to where I live in Indiana. So the trips themselves were not that bad. They took about like 9 or 10 hours, and it probably would have been even shorter if I didn't make any stops. But you have to take stops, you really do. Whether it's for gas, whether it's to just kind of get up and stretch your legs, or even just to get food, because you really should not be driving on an empty stomach. You shouldn't be driving when you start getting tired, because so many bad things can happen on the road, and you do not want that to happen. So I had to take those little breaks, but aside from that, I made it to my location both times, and with a lot of ease. I didn't think I had any major issues. I didn't run into a whole lot of traffic. On my way down there, the only traffic I ran into was when I got to Atlanta, but that just kind of makes sense because big cities are going to have a lot of traffic, and much like my trip to Atlanta, my trip away from Atlanta was kind of the same, dealt with a lot of traffic in Atlanta, but once I got out of there, things were pretty easy. I think I ran into some traffic around Knoxville, but again, Knoxville's a decently sized city, so You can't really control these things. If they happen, they happen. That's really all there is to it. So yeah, both of my drives were fine. I didn't go game chasing during my drives. I thought about it, but I've only recently got a new cell phone which I can use like Google Maps and stuff of that nature to find locations a lot easier. But I'm still trying to get used to it. I'm still trying to figure out how like Siri works, for example. So I didn't really try to go out of my way that much, just because I didn't want to get lost. I didn't want to have to go a very roundabout route or anything like that. I just kind of took it easy and kind of went at my own pace, which was honestly the way to do it. This was my first trip by myself, not counting my trip to Germany because I used an airplane for that. But this is the first road trip I did by myself, and I wanted to make sure that it went out without a hitch, and that's pretty much what it did. So I'm glad that I made it to and from my destination very easily. So hooray for that. That's all I'm going to mention about the drive. Like I said, I got to Atlanta Tuesday night around 8 p.m. I met up with Ilu Weaver, who was the individual I was staying with during my stay in Atlanta. Very quickly, I do want to thank her for allowing me to stay with her during the entire week. I had a lot of fun. She was a great host. The hospitality she gave me was absolutely incredible. So, Weaver, if you're watching this, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me a place to stay. And I really appreciate that. I was glad I was able to see Atlanta. I was able to see a new part of the United States. I was able to experience MomoCon, pretty much all thanks to you. I made all of the plans to actually drive out there, but without you, I would have been lost. So I do appreciate all the help, and thank you. I'm glad we had a lot of fun together. I'm glad we did those recordings together, and I'll be really glad to show those off on the Puddle Plains channel when they are ready. So Thank you very much. You are the best, and forever, Weaverbot will be the symbol of pure awesomeness. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, I got there Tuesday night. For Wednesday, the convention started Thursday, so there was still another day before the convention. On Wednesday, all we did was we went game chasing. We went to a play-in trade that was pretty close to where she lived. Didn't find a whole lot of games. I ended up getting one game for myself, and I bought another game that I would be later using for a gift for YouTuber Some Call Me Johnny. I'm not going to talk about what that gift was or anything like that. I'm kind of hoping that he might do a review on that, and if that's the case, I don't want to spoil it or anything like that. So I'm not going to mention the game, but I basically got him a present for just basically being a great YouTuber and someone who I've always used as a good stress relief when I need to like watch a channel or watch some videos from someone when I'm trying to calm down or just relax. And Johnny's, honestly, his channels, all of his channels, all three of the channels he works on, have been a great help to me, so I got him a gift. But the game I did get was Final Fantasy IX for the PlayStation 1. I've been very interested in the Final Fantasy series. I've only played through 7, but I want to play through some of the other games. I have Final Fantasy X, I have Final Fantasy IV on Steam, and I also now have Final Fantasy IX, so hopefully someday I can finally start playing through these games. I would really love to and experience more of the series, because I honestly really do love Final Fantasy VII. I think it's a great game, and it's definitely one of my favorite RPGs, so hopefully I can finally play Final Fantasy 9, 10, or 4, or any of the other Final Fantasies I can get a hold of. So that was the only game I got. It was only about $15, which is a pretty standard price for the game. I think I've seen it like $18 or $20 elsewhere. And I could technically get Final Fantasy IX on Steam, but from what I hear, Squaresoft does not really do very good with their series on Steam. Like, even Final Fantasy VII had to get patched a few times before it was, like, a definitive version of the game. So I decided to avoid that and just pick up the actual PS1 version. And plus, it wasn't really that expensive either, so I'm glad I got it. I was also looking for Digimon World 1. As you guys know, I've been looking for that game for a very long time. The game was there at Play and Trade for $50, but me and Weaver decided we were going to not pick it up. We were going to see if maybe it was going to be at the convention for a cheaper price. You never know, so we decided to chance it and not get it. And at the end of my trip, if we did not get it at MomoCon, we were going to come back and get it so I could, get it for $50. $50 is a standard price for Digimon World 1, so you really can't be too disappointed if you see it for that much, because that's probably the lowest you're ever going to find it. Okay, sorry if there was a weird cut right there. We just got a huge sound of thunder outside, so I need to probably try to find a way to edit that out or something. But yeah, after we went to Play and Trade, we also checked out this other place, which used to be a used video game store and board game store, but when we actually got there, it actually ended up being just a board game place, so there weren't any video games there. I did pick up a Flux card game, though. I never played Flux before I got it, but Weaver really recommended it, and we actually played a few games when we were at MomoCon, so I was able to experience it at a later date and time, and I did actually really enjoy it, so I'm glad I got a version for myself that I could play with friends or something like that. So that's pretty much all that happened on Wednesday. When we got back later that night, we played 2 games that I'd never played before. We played Dokapon Kingdom for the Wii, and we also played Digimon Rumble Arena for the PlayStation 1. Both games that I really want now, actually, so hopefully someday I can pick them up. I would really love to play Dokapon for my channel because it's a board game party game, which is what I've been quite known for on my channel, so hopefully I can get a copy of that. But yeah, that's pretty much all that happened on Wednesday, so I'll get right into the following day, which was going to be the first day of the MomoCon convention. The convention itself wasn't too far from where we were. We had to drive 10 minutes to a train station, took the train for 10 minutes, and then when we got off, we were pretty much right there. So really just a 20-minute travel time. The train itself was only about like $5 per day, so, very cheap way to get to the convention every day without having to stay at a hotel. So one of the main reasons why I decided to drive up to Weaver's house is because that way I wouldn't have to worry about plane travel and I wouldn't have to worry about booking a hotel room. So overall, it was just a better investment, and it sure was. It was a very convenient investment too. So we got to MomoCon. The con itself wasn't completely open yet, so we went ahead, got our badges, and right after after we got our badges, I ran into Some Call Me Johnny, who was actually right outside the ticket area. So I got to stop by, talk to him for a while. He recognized me from MagFest when we met the first time, and I also got to meet Ted and Lewis from Brain Scratch Comms. So it was really cool to get to talk to them for the first time. I've talked to Ted a few times before on Skype and on Twitter in relation to like Hyrule Warriors and stuff of that nature. He was also on one of Shadow Mario 41 streams with me when he was streaming Hyrule Warriors. So it was cool to see him, and it was cool to meet him in person. It was cool to meet Lewis in person. I didn't really get to meet or talk to Ryan very much, but that might change in the future. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I got to talk to him for a bit. I gave him my gift. He really enjoyed it. Again, I don't know if he'll do a review on it or not. If he does, it won't be for a while. Because I'm sure he has a lot of other reviews that he needs to make from other fans that have given him games. So we'll see what happens with that. I'll let you guys know if he ever does do the review on his channel. But yeah, like I said, I got him the gift because I really, really respect his work on YouTube. I really enjoy his work. His work actually got me through some very, very tough times in the past. Just by, whenever I felt down, I'd go to one of his videos, and, it was nice. It was nice having a really cool guy to watch. And he is a really, really cool guy. He's very down to earth. He will talk about anything, and he's just a really cool guy. If you're ever a fan of his and you ever see him at a convention, don't be afraid to say hello. He will always welcome you with kind words and stuff of that nature. He's, again, a really cool, relaxed, and chill guy, and he was so cool to see again, and it was cool to have actually a couple of different interactions here and there. But I'll get into that a little bit later. As for stuff I did, or stuff we did, again, I have to remember that I was with Illu Weaver for the most part during the entire convention, because we were convention buddies, so to speak, so we definitely spent the entire convention together, but there is nothing wrong with that. We had a good time, as I already mentioned. We went down to the convention floor area where they had the gaming areas set up, they had the vendor areas set up, and all of that other good stuff. First off, we stopped at the arcade area where Little Foo 68 was actually setting up shop for Tokyo Attack, which is, basically a series of arcade machines that they take to different conventions, a lot of rhythm-based games, and, she'd actually been, to various other conventions before MomoCon, during these, past few weeks. So she was, really, really tired, but, we got to say hello. I like Little Foo 68 a lot. I met her at PAX East 2012, my very first convention, and it was really cool hanging out with her, so it was cool to see her again and talk to her again for a bit. After that, we went to the vendor area where we found lots and lots of stuff. We spent 2 hours in the vendor area, and I got a lot of cool stuff. I got 2 Undertale buttons. So in future conventions, I might be wearing those. I got one of Sans, and I got one of Mettaton, 2 of my favorite characters from the Undertale game. I also got an Undertale poster, and also a Pokemon poster, where the Pokemon poster is actually a poster of all the starters from Generation 1 to Generation 6. They could have included the Generation 7 starters, but I don't think that poster was made before then, so... Or I think the poster was made before the Gen 7 starters were announced, so they were not featured on that, but that's okay. It doesn't have to feature every single thing, I suppose. Besides, at some point, if they keep making more and more generations of Pokemon, they may not even fit on the poster anymore, so who knows. So yeah, I got those, and the biggest item I got was actually a plush of Demi Veemon from the Digimon series. Veemon is probably my favorite Digimon. There are no plushes of Veemon. If there are, they're probably specially made ones that are, probably pretty expensive. But the Demi Veemon was cute. It's Veemon's baby form, so, you know, I think that's kind of appropriate for a plush. So I got one of him, and that was kind of cool. But yeah, there were a lot of vendors and a lot of shops and stuff. So there was really a lot to see. Oh, I also got one of those. I forget what they're called. They're kind of those like those bead formations where you like they kind of like put beads on this little grid. They make like a sprite based character, and then like all the beads get like, I don't want to say glued together, but they basically just make a design. I got a design of Poliwhirl. Maybe I'll just, at the end of this video, or actually no, during this video, like during this part of the video, I'll actually try to show pictures of all the things I got, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I basically got a bead design of Poliwhirl, which I really, really love. Poliwhirl is my favorite Pokemon after all, so it was cool to pick that up as well. But yeah, the vendor hall was really, really cool. Honestly, of all the conventions I've been to, I think MomoCon had the best vendor area, just because everything was very well organized. It had a lot of stuff to choose from, and it was just a really, really nice area, a nice spot, so I was glad to actually see that. I know I was kind of talking about the gaming area for a bit, but I will say I have to give the edge to MagFest when it came to the gaming area. I just kind of feel like that was more organized and had a lot more choices and things to choose from. But, you know, in terms of vendors, like MomoCon had a great amount of vendors, and I was really impressed. But since there were vendors, and there were used game vendors, and just game vendors in general, naturally we did look for some more games to get, and me specifically, I was looking for that lower priced Digimon World 1. We did find Digimon World 1, but unfortunately it was not $50, it was $60. So if I wanted to get that copy, I'd have to spend probably $10 more than I would have if I got it at Play and Trade. So, and that was the only copy of the game I found, so I was like, you know what, this is not happening. I'm not going to buy it for $10 more when I can get it cheaper elsewhere. So we decided to put a hold on that, maybe come back on the final day to see if they were selling it for a smaller price. Maybe I could even haggle it down to $50, because it's $50 everywhere else. But until then, we just kind of left it alone. I didn't get any games, unfortunately, but you know, I was going to be saving a huge amount of money for Digimon World 1, and at the end of the day, if I just got that game along with Final Fantasy IX, I would have been satisfied. So, yeah, we pretty much left it alone, but I wasn't complaining about it. It is what it was, and that's all I can really say about it. So, I'm trying to think of what else we did. We also looked at the board game area. We looked at pretty much everything on that show floor. I can't really think of anything else aside from those like main areas. I think after that we kind of started going to panels, and the first panel we went to was actually a panel ran by the Runaway Guys. They were doing kind of a Q&A panel for people wanting to know about their YouTube experiences, and I felt that was kind of a cool one to go to because, you know, I'm a YouTuber. I've been doing YouTube stuff for almost 9 years now, so I thought that would be a good panel to go to, and if I could actually see the guys afterwards, that'd also be kind of cool. So we went to that. The panel itself was really informative. It was really good. I thought the 3 Runaway Guys had like great answers to a lot of questions. If it's on YouTube, definitely check that video out. One thing that actually really surprised me is they were asked a question about like why did they choose Mario Party as their first game they did on their channel, and when Chugga was answering that question, he said, well, the reason why I picked that game was that it was very rage-inducing and it would cause like a lot of hilarious moments. And he specifically actually mentioned me in the panel, like saying that, I know there's a guy on YouTube, in fact, I see him right over there in like the 3rd row, Slim Kirby. He's done Mario Party videos for a long time, so like after watching those videos, we knew we had to do Mario Party for our first project, and I gotta say, that was really, really nice of him to actually acknowledge me and have the rest of the Runaway Guys acknowledge me as well, because, you know, I know there's been like a lot of rumors going around, kind of about how like, because like me and Chugga have such a kind of a back and forth like rivalry that we almost hate each other. That's definitely not true at all. I have nothing against Chugga Conroy at all. I don't think he has anything against me either. Anything we've ever done to each other in the past has always been out of fun and out of respect for each other. So, it was kind of good to actually have that happen with a live studio audience and just kind of see that, oh, okay, there is actually nothing going on. They're friendly towards each other. They're content creators. They're just doing their thing. They're just having fun. That's really all it is. So it was nice to really get that acknowledgement. And afterwards, I made sure to stop by and see Chugga and just say, like, thank you for that. And I also did give him the penny that I showed off in one of my old videos, or not my old videos, for the, what am I talking about? The reaction video I did for them for their Toy Dream video. I said I was going to go up to Chugga and give him a penny at the next convention I was at with him there. And sure enough, I made due on my promise. I got a penny, I gave it to him, and there we go. So that was a really cool panel to go to. A lot of good things happened. I actually talked to a lot of fans of mine afterwards, too. A lot of people wanted autographs or to talk to me for a bit. It was really nice. I actually even also met up with a very old YouTube Let's Player, Blink and You Miss It. I don't know if he goes by that name anymore. He does a lot of different videos, different types of videos, more so reviews. But I got to talk to him for a while, and it was really cool to see him. I remember back in the day when he was doing Super Mario Galaxy, he actually asked me if I could do some like little narrations for him for the Rosalina's storybook section of the game, and I actually did, and I think those videos are still on YouTube. I don't really know for sure. I need to actually check his channel out and see if they are. But yeah, I did some work for him in his Galaxy playthrough, and that was the first time I got to meet him face to face. It was really cool to see him. He was a really nice guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing him at other conventions too. So Blink, if you're watching, it was a good pleasure to meet you, and I'm glad we actually got to meet up and talk about some games, talk about some things YouTube, and kind of get reacquainted with each other, because it was cool talking to you back to the day, and it was cool talking to you now. So just wanted to put that out there. After that, I think we got some dinner, and when that was over, it was actually time to go to the first of 3 Brain Scratch Comms panels, because Brain Scratch, as you know, I talked about them a little bit earlier, they were also at MomoCon, and they were actually going to have 3 different panels. One was going to be a charity stream, one was going to be a Q&A, and the other one was going to be like a live recording of a project that they were going to do. So the first one I went to was the charity stream, which that was the one they were showing on the first day. That was a lot of fun. They were basically playing Smash and Mario Kart live at MomoCon. There was a stream you could watch if you weren't at MomoCon, so you could see all the action unfold. They played a few games with their members, and then they actually invited people on the stage. I did actually get to go up for 2 rounds of Smash. The first round I went up for Smash, I did freaking awesome. I played as Ike. They were 8-player Smash games, and you didn't get anything for winning. They were just kind of, done for fun. But during that first match, I was Ike, and I completely wrecked. I got the most kills. I got 9 kills in like a 3-stock match with 8 players. And I had like one really, really awesome counter kill too, where I just basically was being attacked in the air. I used my counter, and I just like finished some guy and knocked him out of the way instead of him knocking me out of the way. So that was really, really cool. And I even got some tweets like right after the match where people were going, "Oh my God, you did awesome!" So that was really nice. And some call me Johnny actually let me plug my channel for a little bit too. So I really appreciated that as well. So thank you again, Johnny, for just in general making my life just so much better with all the things you've ever done. It's like, seriously. But yeah, they raised some good money for charity. They raised over $100, which is always nice. You may think that, oh, well, they have to be like all of these speedrun marathoners who get like thousands and thousands of dollars. You really don't. Like, any money you earn for charity is money that's going to a good cause, so you really can't be disappointed with any kind of amount. And that's really admirable that they kind of did this stream and they raised the amount of money that they did. That was really sweet, and it was really, really nice to see that happening. But after that panel, that was pretty much it for the first day of MomoCon. It was getting pretty late. Me and Weaver actually had to be back home by 1:30, I think, because that was like the last time the bus would, or the, not the bus, the train would actually be taking people. So we left for the night, and we'd come back the following night for more shenanigans. So the next day was Friday. Friday was also a very, very eventful day. I'm trying to think of all the stuff we did. I believe Friday was the day that the first thing we went to was the Dragon Quest panel. Well, there was actually a panel where they kind of did a brief history of the Dragon Quest series and stuff like that, kind of talking about like the game series and the timeline and the spin-offs and, you know, stuff like Fortune Street as well. It was very informative. Got some information about Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is a series I've been wanting to get into for a while now, so it was kind of nice to have that information and then, you know, potentially get in the series at a later date and time. I have been trying, like, I've beat the first Dragon Quest game and I'm almost done with the second game. And apparently, like, the third game is really, really good, so heck, even Weaver's been, like, pushing me to finish the second game because the third game is her favorite, and she thinks I'll really like it. So I'm trying to work on it. I'm sure I'll get to it eventually, but that's basically what it is. I guess I should also mention before that, I also stopped by the Brain Scratch Comms autograph session, where I actually bought a Brain Scratch print. I also had them sign some autographs for things that I had. I had all four of them sign my Sonic Mega Collection game cover because they're mostly known for their Sonic playthroughs, so I thought that was a good thing for them to sign. Also, sorry if you hear some knocking in the background. We have people working on our house right now. So I had them sign that. I had Ted sign a Hyrule Warriors booklet because that's kind of a connection that he and I both had. I also got them to sign the print that I had bought, and then I also got a picture with them, which you guys probably saw that on Twitter. I'll be posting that on the video right now so you can see that. So yeah, that was a nice little meeting I had with them. I'm glad I had some things I could take away. Like I said, like I really enjoy Brain Scratch Comms and their content, so it was nice to kind of go there, meet them, and actually have like something I could take back from that experience too. Like the picture alone just feels so awesome. Like I was like right there, like next to those four guys. So that was really cool. I also wanted to go to, I think, a Runaway Guys autograph signing, but I think I eventually decided not to do that because if I did do it, then I'd be wasting a lot of time that I could be using elsewhere. I think this was also a day that Weaver and I kind of just went to the board game area and played some card games and stuff like that. So, you know, there were a lot of things that we could have done, but like there were some really important things we wanted to do too. So instead of actually trying to stress ourselves out over everything, we just kind of like, you know, let's just stick to what we want to do. We'll play some cards and then, you know, leave it at that. I think that night we also went to a Jackbox little game show where they were playing some of the Jackbox party games, like stuff like Fibbage and Quiplash and Drawful. Games like that where you'd go into, it was basically taking place in the hotel across the courtyard from where the convention was being held. And because Jackbox is a game where you can play on your computers or you can play on your phone, you could just like join the game that was currently being shown like to everyone else, and they did it in like this little restaurant bar area. So it was kind of fun. I got to actually be in the first game of Quiplash. I ended up getting 4th place, but I think if I tried a little harder, I probably could have gotten first. But see, a lot of people were, you know, like, I was trying to use a lot of Puddle Plains jokes in my answers, which doesn't really appeal to everyone else, so as a result, I didn't really get that high of a place. But, you know, I definitely got some good answers in, so, and I got 4th place out of 8, which isn't too bad. And again, there weren't any prizes being given out or anything like that either, so it wasn't a huge deal. And I think Weaver actually played in one of the games too. She played in Drawful when they did that, and she actually won her session. But she's a smart gal. She knows what people try to draw, I guess, apparently. So That's pretty much all we did there. After that, Brain Scratch had their second panel, which I believe was the live recording of a project. I probably shouldn't mention what the project is, just in case they haven't released it yet. But they basically did a live playthrough of a game. It was actually very well organized, honestly. Like, I thought it would be like really hectic with like a bunch of audience members in the background. But they actually had pretty good ground rules where it's like, okay, just, you guys can watch and you can react to things, but, don't just try to talk over everything. Don't try to be like the fifth member of Brain Scratch Comms. And they handled it very, very well. It was a really enjoyable playthrough. My only thing is, as an audience member, I kind of wish the mic volume would have been, like, dropped a little. Because, like, sometimes when they were talking, they just would get, like, really, really loud. Which they may have been doing just to make sure, like, it would show up in the recordings and stuff like that for the future YouTube audiences. But, for the live audience, some of the commentary audio was kind of shrieky. But it was still very enjoyable. It was fun to watch them play through that live and, just kind of see, like, oh, this is what the Brain Scratch crew does when they're recording projects. So that was kind of a cool thing to take away from that. Before I move on to Saturday, because that was the last thing we did that night, I'm going to very quickly mention a few other things that I did kind of forget about. On Thursday, we also we actually stopped by the Indie Showcase booth, and I actually did get to play a few indie games. I got to, well, actually two of them, not a couple, but the first indie game I got to play was called Shoe. It's a platformer that really reminds me of Rayman a little bit. And it actually controls like a lot like Super Mario World. Like when I was like going through the levels, like I felt like I had Mario's control from that game. It looks really cool. It kind of has like kind of a desert Middle Eastern type of background to it, I guess. I don't know. Like I hope I don't come across as being like, oh, this is where those people live or anything like that. But, like, I don't know, like, it had a really, like, Arabian feel to it. I guess that's the best way to say it. And it looked pretty cool, honestly. Like, it's a game that I'm honestly considering, like, when I can get my hands on it, it's a game I might actually do a Let's Play on. Unfortunately, I cannot remember the name of the second game. I'll try to make a note of it in the video description or something. It was something about dragons or something. You had to control over, like, a Little Red Riding Hood character. And it was kind of like a dungeon roguelike game where you kind of have to like go through these randomized floors, find treasures, fight enemies. It was kind of cool. You could use like the environment as your weapons sometimes. So if like there was like a tree, you could knock down the tree and kill an enemy completely. It was kind of cool. I felt like they were kind of hand-holding me too much when I was trying to play through it though. I couldn't really do my own or figure things out on my own, which, I kind of don't like that when I'm gaming. I kind of like figuring things out for my own. But it was pretty cool. We saw a lot of other cool games. Prisma, didn't get to play it, but it looked pretty interesting. There was this game called Pixel, which is kind of like, I guess it kind of reminded me a little bit of Thomas Was Alone in terms of graphic style, but it was a bit more puzzly. Like, I mean, Thomas Was Alone definitely had puzzles, but this game was like really, really puzzly. I guess maybe kind of a combination of Thomas Was Alone with maybe VVVVV or something like that. I don't know. I might do some more research on that and see what it's about more. But that was another game we saw. We also saw another game called Ballet Bladers or something. It was like kind of like a top spinning game where you could select these different types of characters and you'd battle each other, try to take each other out. And meanwhile, you could also try to like kick this giant ball into a goal or something. I didn't really quite grasp the concept, but it looked interesting, I guess. Maybe not like one of the things I'm most interested in. I'm definitely most interested in that shoe game, of course. But yeah, that was basically that. We also stopped by the manga library on Friday, which I didn't mention. I don't really know much about anime or manga. I'm kind of someone who... I grew up with Digimon and Pokemon, but I haven't really gotten into anime until like very recently when I watched Sailor Moon with Fire Kitty and when I watched Fairy Tail with Malkinor Beck and Pokemon Cheese. And I also watched last year Yu Yu Hakusho completely from beginning to end. So I'm someone who's interested in anime. Don't really have a lot of anime behind me or on my belt, but it's something I'm looking into. So I got a few recommendations from Weaver about some other animes I could watch and get into. I might actually watch Full Metal Alchemist this year. So if you are a fan of that, keep coming to my streams or ask me on Twitter if I've watched it yet or if I've watched any of it. And you can ask me about it and see what I think about it. I might be posting from time to time about it too. So, the only reason I wanted to mention that is that MomoCon is essentially an anime/video game convention. It's more focused on anime, though, I think. But since video games can kind of be hand in hand with anime, not completely, maybe a better term would be finger in finger with anime. But, there are a lot of animes with video games, and there's a lot of video games with anime elements. So, it's kind of a combination of just general geekery, I guess you could say. And, since video games have been, very popular, and there's also the subdivision of video games where there's also YouTube gamers and other online personalities who have a lot to do with gaming. Obviously, they've been trying to become more relevant at these conventions, and that's why groups like Brain Scratch and Runaway Guys have panels. That's why you see a lot of other personalities as well. Like, he's mostly like kind of a movie reviewer, but you can also see the Nostalgia Critic at MomoCon. He was there. Other YouTuber gamers, Pro Jared was there. Tails channel, Matt from Tails channel was there. So yeah, there were like a lot of like video gamer personalities from YouTube there. So I kind of felt like I belonged there because those guys were there, and I'm kind of like in that same boat, so to speak. So that's essentially why I went to MomoCon and what it is. It's just kind of a video game/anime convention. More so towards anime, but because of the popularity of gaming as of late and all those YouTube personalities, it's becoming more relevant, I think. So yeah, just wanted to get all that out there before I continued. I'll go ahead and move on to Saturday. Saturday was kind of a weird day. We had to leave pretty early in the morning because there was a panel we really wanted to get to. Because another thing I've been into recently is actually Critical Role, which is a Dungeons and Dragons type of Twitch show that's been going on, where basically Matt Mercer, who's done a lot of voice work for some video games and other productions, he is the dungeon master, and he plays D&D with a lot of his friends who are also voice actors in their own right, and they've done a lot of other geeky projects and stuff of that nature. I've been really getting into it. I've watched the first 6 episodes completely. I'm looking into trying to maybe starting to watch from more recent episodes, and then every now and then kind of marathon a few older episodes so I can catch up and actually be completely caught up with the entire story. So yeah, we went to that panel. We went to his panel, the Matt Mercer panel. It was really cool. Matt Mercer is a hilarious guy. He's a very funny guy, and they had a Q&A. They talked about a lot of stuff in regards to Critical Role and some other things. It was really nice. It gave me a lot of information. I'm not someone who's super into playing D&D. I'm interested in a lot of aspects about it. More so the storytelling element of Dungeons & Dragons and making characters and stuff like that. But, it was information that I could use, so if I ever decide to join a group like that of my own, I could. I know that OwnSpac33 has been trying to do something very similar with Hero Quest on his Twitch channel, so, it was kind of nice to go to that panel just to get some information and stuff like that. And again, like I said, Matt Mercer is a hilarious guy. He was just so much fun to listen to, and just the way he has fun with all of this. You could see, whenever he was answering a question, he was always, he always had a smile on his face. He's not like all those other celebrities where if you ask them a question, they just kind of, have a blank expression on their face while they're kind of talking about it. He kind of just, kind of got into character, just kind of just, laughed along with you, and just, it was great. Unfortunately, though, like, we really wanted to get Matt Mercer's autograph, me and Weaver both. But unfortunately, we had the huge trouble of actually trying to get into the autograph signing because you needed to get tickets to wait in line to get his autograph. But tickets were all sold out, so you basically had to take a chance with waiting and seeing if you could walk in when he was doing the autographs for all the people who had tickets. Unfortunately, they didn't even get through all the people with tickets and all the different autograph signings, so pretty much the walk-in people could never actually get tickets or even get the autograph, which really sucked. In fact, I could even see there were people who were waiting in line during Saturday's session who got turned away on Sunday because they never got their autograph the first day. They had to come back and try the next day, but even then, after multiple days of waiting, they still couldn't get his autograph, which really sucked. I wasn't too beaten up about it because I don't need to have a takeaway. It'd be cool if I did have a takeaway, but just the fact that I watch his content, I watch Critical Role, I'm a huge fan of it now. Like, I think that's enough, honestly. Like, I don't need to have an autograph, but it would have been cool if I did have one, but if I didn't get one, it's not a big deal. I know he's a big personality. A lot of people want to see him and get an autograph. I'll let those other people go first. It really wasn't a big deal, but it was kind of disappointing for, maybe not just me, but for other people who had like really put a lot into trying to get those autographs. But it is what it is. That's just the kind of thing that happens at these conventions. So, actually, I think I missed something else on Friday. I'm kind of like going everywhere, but there's not a lot I can do about that. Actually, no, this was on Saturday. Another thing I did on Saturday with Weavers, we actually played Ultimate Werewolf, which Ultimate Werewolf is a game very similar to Town of Salem. I think Town of Salem is actually based on Ultimate Werewolf, where it's basically you're given a role and you have to try to figure out what everyone's role is. And every day you're given a bunch of decisions. Some of these decisions can kill other players. So it's basically a giant mind game of trying to figure out who the evil players are, getting rid of them before they get rid of all of you. So we played a few rounds of that. The first 2 rounds went great. The third round we played was really annoying. The round was annoying because it lasted like twice as long, maybe even 3 times as long as any of the other rounds. And what made it worse is that the organizer was everywhere. Like, she wasn't even like moderating the game half the time. She was always off doing her own thing, just talking to other people who weren't in the game. So she was just kind of like slowing the process down immensely, and that really annoyed the crap out of me. And like, it was such a, like, there were people who are really trying to play hard and like really trying to win the game. So because of that, there was a lot more talking going on. So like, people wanted to make sure that they lived and they didn't die. So overall, it just made the game take a lot longer. But we did finish that game. Me and Weaver both won that game. But the other games, let's just say there were different results in the other games. That's really all I'll say about it. So yeah, we did that on Saturday. The other panels that were going on Saturday there was a Star Wars script reading where they had a bunch of voice actors actually read some lines from the newest Star Wars movie, but they read them as the characters they played. So you'd have funny instances where Jim Cummings, the guy who does the voice acting for Winnie the Pooh, was doing stuff for characters like Chewbacca, which is just kind of funny. And I'm trying to think of the other ones that were there. Steve Bloom was there. The voice actress who does Elmira from Tiny Toons and Foxy Love from Drawn Together, she was there doing some voice work. So it was freaking hilarious. Like, there's like a lot of panels like these at a lot of these conventions, and they're usually really freaking hilarious. So I definitely recommend checking them out whenever you can, because it was hilarious. Hell, even this panel might actually be on YouTube at some point, so definitely check it out if you can. Unfortunately, I had to leave the panel really early because I had to reserve a place in line for the Runaway Guys Throne Controllers panel, which was pretty much right after that panel. So we actually went to that. As usual, the Throne Controllers panels are always really good. They're always really fun. You get to sit through some really cool video game trivia, answer questions, sometimes do video game challenges. For the last few conventions, Weaver and I have actually been trying to get me up there to be a contestant, but I have a feeling they don't choose me because I am somewhat well known, and they want to give people who are more fans they actually want to give them chances to play, which I completely understand. I think that's more than fair. But we're gonna keep on trying to see if I can get a place up there, just so I can either do extremely awesome or I can make a fool out of myself. It really doesn't matter. It'd be cool either way. But yeah, the panel itself was really good. The trivia was actually kind of hard this time. I feel like some of the trivia questions were kind of difficult compared to other games that they've hosted in the past. My main annoyance with these panels is that I hate how the Runaway Guys have to always silence the audience, because there's so many audience members who are really, really rude during that event, who they keep their hands up even when they've already picked contestants. They stand over everybody when they are picking contestants so they can get chosen. And worse than that, they actually yell out answers when the contestants are answering questions. So I really wish those people would just shut up, sit down, and mind their own business, because it's really rude and disrespectful. They're trying to host a game, and you guys are kind of ruining it. You're kind of ruining it for other people. So if you are a contestant at these panels, please control yourself. Please just try to be a well-respected member of the audience. Seriously, that really annoys me that they have to shout, "Stop giving the answers," because they shouldn't have to. It should be obvious that, oh, don't help the contestants cheat, or don't try to make yourself look good. But whatever, I'm just ranting now. But yeah, after that panel, we went to a Undertale improv panel, which, truth be told, was probably the worst panel of the entire convention for me. It just really wasn't a lot of fun. I could tell the improvers were actually somewhat skilled. They actually had ideas, but I think they relied too much on audience participation, and the audience participation they got didn't really meet the standards of what their act was trying to be. So it just felt really flat, very unorganized, and just wasn't really a great panel, unfortunately. Which is a shame, because they could have been really, really hilarious. But maybe they'll learn from that. Maybe they'll actually have a better organization next time. I can only hope. But yeah, that's pretty much all we did on Saturday. I think we also stopped by for another round of Jackbox, which was okay. The Brain Scratch actually had their third panel that night, but I decided to not go to it, just due to the fact that, we had been very busy going from one panel to the next panel to the next panel, which was kind of tiring. It was getting kind of late. I wanted to make sure we still got on the train and everything, and we also had to get up early that next morning too. So, we just kind of figured that let's just go home. We'll call it quits for the day, unfortunately. So that's what we did, and then we went home, went to bed, got up for the last day of the convention, which was Sunday. Sunday was going to be the shortest day of the convention, not just for us, but for pretty much everybody. I think a lot of things closed up pretty early in the late afternoon, so we weren't going to be around for very long, and we were actually going to leave the convention by 2 or 3 o'clock to see some other Atlanta sites, which, again, I'm not going to really focus on too much because, it's about the panel, it's about all of this, so I'm going to focus mostly on that. But first thing we did on Sunday was that we came to the convention. We found out what exactly was going to go on with the Matt Mercer autographs, which, like I said earlier, we pretty much did not get his autograph, so that was kind of a bust. But before we did anything else, we stopped by the gaming room. We saw Allison one more time, Little Foo 68. We said our goodbyes to her, since she was actually going to be leaving the convention that day too, or leaving Atlanta that day anyway. So while we were talking to her, I actually got a thought where I was like, maybe I'll try to get Digimon World 1 if it's still there. If it is still there and it's still for $60, I think I can maybe talk them down to $50 because that's where it is everywhere else. It's the last day of the convention. Maybe I could get them to sell to me at that price. So after we talked to Allison, I grabbed Weaver, told her about my plan. We decided to go back, and unfortunately, the Digimon World game was gone. Or at least the game we were looking at. Because there was another Digimon World 1 there. The only problem is it didn't have a manual, it didn't come in the original casing, it was just another version of the game. But that was actually good enough for me because the game was priced at $45, which is $5 less than where I've been able to find anywhere else. Now, given it didn't have the manual, it didn't have the game case, so, it was essentially an inferior product by technicality. But at that point, I didn't care because I knew I was never going to get that game for less than that. And I think $45 was a pretty good price point, so I got the game. Finally, Digimon World 1 is in my possession, so I am really, really happy about that. That was the one game I wanted to get at this convention, and I ended up getting it. So, that's really all I can say about it. So, it was a success, and it was a success in all the right ways. And I was happy that I was able to go without being empty-handed. So the two games I got were Digimon World 1 and Final Fantasy 9. So 2 PS1 games alongside the other game that I bought for Some Call Me Johnny, which I can't really count because I technically already own that game. So yeah, there we go. I got that. The first panel we went to on Sunday was actually a Pokemon trivia panel, where you could go and answer Pokemon trivia questions. They had it in the format of Jeopardy, so that was pretty cool. I actually got selected for one of the rounds, and I was a partner with somebody else. We were on Team Ninetales, which was pretty cool. Unfortunately, we did not win. I think that the only prize you got for winning were, everyone got prizes, which was basically just candy for participating. But the two winners, the winners of the team winners, they would get an extra perler bead design, which is what I was thinking about earlier. The Poliwhirl perler bead I got on the first day. That's what those are called, perler beads. My bad. So yeah, the winners would get that as an extra, but everyone else pretty much got candy. Me and my teammate got second place. I would have actually been able to do better, but they had 0 questions about the Pokemon video games. It was mostly focused on the anime. Most of the trivias were based on the anime, which I didn't really know a lot about. So, and even if I did, the questions, they were based on the first season, the Indigo season, and part of the Orange Island saga of the anime, which I technically have seen a good part of that. But it's been so long that I don't remember all the little minute details, so unfortunately I was pretty disadvantaged. But I did answer a series of questions. In fact, there was a time where I think we got 3 questions in a row, which was pretty cool. It was pretty hype because people were like, oh my god, they're making a run for it. So that was nice. But yeah, that was Pokemon Trivia. It was fun for what it was. After Pokemon Trivia, we went to another panel, which was called Medieval Mortal Kombat, which was basically you'd go into a room. They had a giant area set up where people who were trained in battling with medieval weapons could actually do combat with each other. Now, it was safe. These guys knew what they were doing, and the weapons were even padded to make sure they weren't fatal, that they couldn't actually hurt anybody. But they had to wear really tough armor too. So it was definitely a lot of fun. You could see really hilarious matches where it's okay, have one person with a dagger versus someone with a giant sword and a poleaxe and stuff like that. You could actually suggest a combination, and if it was safe enough to do, they'd actually go through with it, which was kind of funny. There was one match where it was one person had 2 giant shields while the second person had 2 buckler shields, so that was kind of funny to watch that. But yeah, that was a really good panel to kind of wrap it up with. After that, we kind of walked around for a bit. We got something to eat. We said our goodbyes to a few different people, and after that, we actually left the convention for good. Actually, that was the last time we were at the convention, and we went to the World of Coca-Cola, which I had actually never seen before. And because my family actually has some connection with Coca-Cola, mainly my grandfather used to have a partnership with Coca-Cola for his mini mart. So I got to go there. We got to learn some great history about Coca-Cola. Got to go to a taste test room where I could taste a variety of different Coca-Cola products. It was a lot of fun. I don't drink soda really anymore, but it was still cool to get that little history lesson and just kind of have fun at a place, learn some facts, drink some cola, and just leave it at that. But it was a good time, but that's really all I'm going to be mentioning about that, because again, it's not entirely relevant to the discussion of what this video should be about, which should be about video games. So, wow, I've almost been talking for an entire hour. Wow. Okay, so let's kind of like wrap this up, I guess. We went home. The next day, we weren't going to go. The convention was over at that point, so like there weren't going to be any more convention days. But we actually did some recording for Puddle Plains. Like I said, I'll have information about when those projects, or when that project is going to be up. But it did get finished completely. We did a marathon recording session, which worked out very, very well. And that should be up on Puddle Plains very, very soon. I think Sarah's actually working on the editing right now. And by Sarah, I mean Weaver. Sorry. I know her as Sarah, so don't be surprised if I use that name over her screen name, Weaver. That's just the way it is. But yeah, we got our project done. It was a lot of fun. I had a good last day with her. And the following day, I started making my trip home. So that was pretty much my MomoCon experience, raw and unedited, aside from that one little edit I need to make where I edit the thunderbolt noise out. So I know a lot of people really wanted to hear my impromptu take on this entire event and how I felt. And yeah, it was a really good event. It was a really good con. I can't really say if it's the best con or not. It's so subjective as it is. Like I said before, I feel like MagFest had a stronger like gaming lounge, while MomoCon had a better vendor area. And, there are other things you could say. It was pretty easy to get around MomoCon. Like, the building layouts were very, very simple. You weren't really going to get confused about where anything was. So, it was very easy to navigate the MomoCon area. I feel like it might even be a little easier than MagFest, but, it's really kind of grasping at straws at some point. So, I'm not really going to declare one convention better than another one. I think that they're both definitely really worth checking out. If you're an anime fan, definitely try to get to MomoCon. If you're more of a gamer, definitely try to go to MagFest, or maybe even try to get into both. So, like, you really can't go wrong with either convention. And also make sure you go with a group of friends. I was lucky enough to go with a group of friends to MagFest, and I was really lucky to go with a really good friend. Even if it was just one friend, it was a really good friend, and I got to go to MomoCon with her. So there's a lot of different factors that go into these cons. I would like to go back to MomoCon sometime with maybe a bigger group to see how that works. So hopefully this video actually convinces some of my friends to maybe go next year, and maybe I can actually try to go next year. But if not, it's not a big deal. MagFest is definitely I want to say it's actually less expensive than MomoCon, maybe. It's definitely cheaper to get to MagFest because I think plane tickets are cheaper to that area of Maryland/Virginia than it is to get to Atlanta, because I remember when I did research, the plane ticket to Atlanta was like over $350, while the plane ticket to MagFest was like at most $200. So again, a lot of different things go into it, so I'm not going to make a huge song and dance about it. But I think I am going to kind of close up this video. I have been talking for an entire hour after all. I'm going to have to edit this, put in pictures and stuff of that nature too. So I'll try to make sure I get this video up either tonight or tomorrow. And when I say tomorrow, I mean June 2nd. So If this is up on June 2nd, that's the way it is. If it's on June 1st, it's on June 1st. Hooray, I got it up on the same day I recorded it. But if I don't, it is what it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed my MomoCon discussion. I might answer some more questions during my stream this weekend, so if you want to come watch me play some more Pokemon Fire Red Retro achievements, I will be doing that, as well as talking about more of my MomoCon adventures if you want to know more. And yeah, so this has been Slim Kirby. I will see you guys on the flip side. Tomorrow I'm going to be recording Super Mario Galaxy, so there's some announcements for the more current crowd, so I'll be starting to work on that now. So thanks for watching / listening, and I'll see you guys later. Later, folks.